My name is Atlas. I am going to be reading a series called The Blackthorn Key. I've never made videos before, so this is going to be my first time doing it. And we're hopefully going to get to at least chapter 3 or chapter 2 in this video. And see how long that is, and then maybe do a little longer. But yeah. I hope you guys enjoy. I really like this series, so I hope you guys like it. Alright, this is just a Polaroid. Thursday, May 28th, 1665, Ascension Day. Also, to explain a little bit about the plot in this book is about a 13-year-old named Christopher Rowe and his stupid adventures where he tries to figure out who killed his master. Spoilers. No, it literally says that on the back. I just don't have the cover on it. Shut up, guys. Here we go. Here it is. I found it. Master Benedict said he wasn't the least bit surprised. According to him, there were several times over the past 3 years when he was sure I'd finally discovered it. Yet it wasn't until the day before my 14th birthday that it came to me so clearly. I thought God himself had whispered it in my ear. My master believes occasions like this should be remembered, so as he ordered, I've written down my formula. My master suggested the title. The Stupidest Idea in the Universe. By Christopher Rowe, apprentice to Master Benedict Blackthorn, apothecary. Method of manufacture. Snoop through your master's private notes, find a recipe, its words locked behind a secret code, and decipher it. Next, steal the needed ingredients from your master's stores. Finally, and this is the most important step, go to your best friend, a boy of stout character and poor judgment equal to your own, and speak these words. Let's build a cannon. I love them. I love these two. Tom and Christopher are great. Chapter 1. That was like a little prologue. Let's build a cannon, I said. Tom wasn't listening. He was deep in concentration, tongue pinched between his teeth, as he steeled himself for combat with a stuffed black bear that rolled the corner of my master's shop. Tom stripped off his linen shirt and flung it heroically across the antimony cups gleaming on the display table near the fire. From the oak shelf nearest to him, he snatched the glazed lid of an apothecary jar. Blackthorn's warp begone, according to the scrawl on the label, and held it on guard, a miniature ceramic shield. In his right hand, the rolling pin wobbled threateningly. Should have gotten the water. That would have been a great idea. Right? I'm just not that smart. Tom Bailey, son of William the Baker, was the finest fake soldier I had ever seen. Though only 2 months older than me, he was already a foot taller and built like a blacksmith, albeit a slightly pudgy one, due to a steady pilfering of his father's pies, and in the safety of my master's shop, away from the horrors of battle like death, pain, or even a mild scolding, Tom's courage held no equal. He glared at the inanimate bear. The floorboards creaked as he stepped within range of its wickedly curved claws. Tom shoved the curio cabinet aside, making the brass balances jingle. Then he hoisted his flour-dusted club in salute. The frozen bear roared back silently, inch long teeth promising death. Or several minutes of tedious polishing, at least. I sat on the counter at the back, legs dangling, and clicked leather heels against the carved cedar. I could be patient. You had to be sometimes with Tom, whose mind worked as it pleased. We're not calling him dumb. Think you can steal my sheep, Mr. Bear? He said. I'll give you no quarter this day. Suddenly, he stopped, rolling pin held outward in mid-lunge. I could almost see the clockwork cranking behind his ears. Wait. What? He looked back at me, puzzled. What did you say? Let's build a cannon, I said. What does that mean? Just what you think it means. You and me, build a cannon. You know. Boom. I spread my hands. Tom frowned. We can't do that. Why not? Because people can't just build cannons, Christopher. He said it like he was explaining why you shouldn't eat fire to a small, dull child. But that's where cannons come from. People build them. You think God sends cannons down from heaven for Lent? You know what I mean. I folded my arms. I don't understand why you're not more excited about this. Maybe that's because you're never the one on the pointy end of your schemes. What schemes? I don't have any schemes. I spent all night throwing up that strength potion you invented, he said. He did look a little dark under the eyes today. Yeah, sorry. think I put in too much black snail. It needed less snail. I need to be better at pronunciating. What it needed was less Tom. Don't be such a baby, I said. Vomiting is good for you anyway. Balances the humors. I like my humors the way they are. You said, but I have a recipe this time. I grabbed the parchment. I leaned against the coin scales on the countertop and waved it at him. A real one from Master Benedict. How can a cannon have a recipe? Not the whole cannon, just the gunpowder. Tom got very still. He scanned the jars around him as if among the hundreds of potions, herbs, and powders that ringed the shop was a remedy that would somehow get him out of this. That's illegal. Knowing a recipe isn't illegal, I said. Making it is. That was true. Only masters and only those with the royal character were allowed to mix gunpowder. I was a long way from either. And Lord Ashcombe is on the streets today, Tom said. Now that made me pause. You saw him? Tom nodded. On Cheapside after church, he had 2 of the king's men with him. What'd he look like? Mean. Mean was exactly what I'd imagined. Lord Richard Ashcombe, Baron of Chillingham, was King Charles's loyal servant, general, and His Majesty's warden here in London. He was in the city hunting for a pack of killers. In the past 4 months, 5 men had been butchered in their homes. Each of them had been tied up, tortured, then slit open at the stomach and left to bleed to death. 3 of the victims had been apothecaries, a fact that had me seeing assassins in the shadows every night. No one was sure what the killers wanted, but sending in Lord Ashcombe meant the king was serious about stopping them. Lord Ashcombe had a reputation for getting rid of men hostile to the crown, usually by sticking their heads on pikes in the public square. Still, we didn't need to be that cautious. Lord Ashcombe's not coming here, I said as much to myself as to Tom. We haven't killed anyone, and the king's warden isn't likely to stop by the suppository, is he? Or for a suppository. What about your master, Tom said. He doesn't need a suppository. Tom made a face. I mean, isn't he coming back? It's getting close to dinner time. He said dinner time with a certain wistfulness. Master Benedict just bought the new edition of Culpepper's Herbal. He's at the coffee house with Hugh. They'll be gone for ages. Tom pressed his ceramic shield to his chest. This is a bad idea. I hopped down from the counter and grinned. I love them. I love them. Alright, that's not even the first chapter. We're still going. To be an apothecary, you must understand this. The recipe is everything. It isn't like baking a cake. The potions, creams, jellies, and powders Master Benedict made with my help required an incredibly delicate touch. A spoonful too little knitter, a pinch of too much aniseed, and your brilliant new remedy for dropsy would congeal instead into worthless green goo. But new recipes didn't fall from the sky. You had to discover them. This took weeks, months, even years of hard work. It cost a fortune, too. Ingredients, apparatus, coal to stoke the fire, ice to chill the bath. Most of all, it was dangerous. Blazing fires, molten metals, elixirs that smelled sweet but ate away your insides. Tinctures that looked as harmless as water but threw off deadly, invisible fumes. With each new experiment, you gambled with your life, so working formula was better than gold. If you could read it. And I'm going to show you guys all of the things that, like, the little stuff that aren't really readable. So this is the first one. This is the code for gunpowder. And it's obviously coded, and you'll see how to solve it in a second. He explains it. Tom scratched his cheek. I thought there'd be more words and things. It's in code, I said. He sighed. Why is it always in code? These other apothecaries will do anything to steal your secrets. When I have my own shop, I said proudly, I'm putting everything in code. No one's going to swipe my recipes. No one will want your recipe, except poisoners, I suppose. I said I was sorry. Maybe this is in code, because Master Benedict doesn't want anyone to read it, and by anyone, I mean you. He teaches me new ciphers every week. Did he teach you this one? I'm sure he planned to. Christopher. But I figured out. Look. Point at the notation MO8 with the 2 arrows. It's a substitution cipher. Every 2 numbers stand for 1 letter. This tells you how to swap them. Start with 08 and replace it with M, then count forward. So 08 is M, 09 is N, and so on like this. I showed him the table I'd worked out. Again, there's the table. So it's, again, a simple decipher. Tom looked between the cipher and the block of numbers at the top of the page. So if you place the numbers with the right letters, you get your message. I flipped the parchment over to show the translation I'd inked on the back. Gunpowder. 1 part charcoal, 1 part sulfur, 5 parts saltpeter, grind separately, mix. Which is what we did. We set up on the larger display table farther from the fireplace, based on Tom's reasonable suggestion that gunpowder and flames weren't friends. Tom moved the bleeding spoons. Sorry. Tom moved the bleeding spoons, I don't know what that means, from the table and got the mortars and pestles from the window near the bear while I pulled the ingredients from the shelves. I'm gonna search up. Motherfucker. Uh, 1916. Bleeding serious spoon. Pictures? Oh, it's just spoons. It's just like decorated spoons. Why are they called bleeding spoons? What the heck? I ground the charcoal, sooty clouds puffed into the air, mixing with the earthy scent of the dried roots and herbs hanging from the rafters. Tom glancing uneasily at the front door for any sign of my master. I took care of the saltpeter, crushing the crystals that looked just like ordinary table salt. I think I remember how they made saltpeter, and I think it's later explained. Sulfur was already a fine yellow powder, so while Tom swirled the ingredients together, I got a length of brass pipe sealed at one end from the workshop in the back. I used a nail to widen a hole near the sealed end. Into that, I slipped a loop of woven, ash-colored cord. Tom raised his eyebrows. Master Reddick keeps cannon fuse? We use it to light things from far away. You know, things you have to light from far away probably shouldn't be lit at all. The mixture we ended up with looked harmless, just a fine black powder. Tom poured it into the open end while I propped up the pipe. Yes, I was right. A narrow stream spilled over the side, scattering a charcoal grains onto the floor. I stamped the powder in the tube down with cotton wadding. What are we going to use for a cannonball? Tom said. Master Benedict didn't keep anything in the store that would fit snugly in the pipe. The best I could come up with was a handful of lead shot we used for shavings to put in our remedies. We scraped down the brass and landed with a hollow thump on the cotton at the bottom. Now we needed a target, and soon. It had taken a lot longer to put everything together than I thought it would, and though I'd assured Tom that my master wouldn't return, his comings and goings weren't exactly predictable. We're not firing this thing outside. He was right about that. The neighbors would not look kindly on lead shot flying through their parlors, and as tempting a target as the stuffed bear on the mantel was, Master Reddick wasn't even less likely to appreciate us going to war with the animals that decorated his shop. What about that? I said, hanging from the ceiling near the fireplace with a small iron cauldron. We can shoot at the bottom of it. Tom pushed aside the antimony cups on the other table, leaving enough space to put down the cauldron. Picked up our cannon and pressed it against my abdomen to hold it steady. Tom tore a scrap of parchment from our deciphered recipe and held it in the fire until it caught. Then he lit the cannon's wick. Sparks fizzed, racing toward the pipe like a flaming hornet. Tom dived behind the counter and peeked over the top. "Watch this," I said. The blast nearly blew my ears off. I saw a burst of flame and a mound of smoke, then the pipe kicked back like an angry ox and nailed me right between the legs. Still one of those iconic opening chapters. Chapter 2. We're gonna try and, I think I'm gonna do chapter 2, and then maybe a little bit into chapter 3. I hit the floorboards like a sack of wheat. The cannon bonged off the wood next to me and rolled away, smoke pouring from the end. From far away, I heard a voice. "Are you all right?" it said. I curled into a ball, hands cradling my groin, and tried not to throw up. Smoke billowed everywhere, as if the air itself had turned gray. Tom appeared through the haze, waving his hands and coughing. "Christopher, are you all right?" I said. Tom scanned the shop for some remedy that could help me, but sadly there was no Blackthorn's private parts pain poultice. That is a mouthful. Suddenly he spoke, his voice strangled. "Christopher?" I squinted up through the smoke. There I saw the problem. I wasn't the only one who'd taken it where it counts. The cauldron I'd so carefully aimed at didn't have a mark on it. The bear in the corner, however, now had a real reason to be angry. Holy crap. The lead shot from our cannon had shredded the fur between his legs. He roared in silent outrage as his straw guts spilled into a pile between his paws. Tom held his hands to the sides of his face. Your master will kill us. Wait, I said, the pain slowly being replaced by the pit of horror growing in my gut. Wait, we can fix this. How? Do you have a spare bear's crotch in the back? Tom clutched his cheeks and moaned. Just give me a moment to think, I said, and naturally, that was when Master Benedict came home. It's so good. He didn't even take one full step inside before he jerked to a halt. So tall that he had to duck to pass through the door, my bastard just stood there, hunched over the long, dark curls of his wig swinging in the evening breeze. He was hugging a large, leather-bound book to his chest with his lanky arms. Culpepper's new herbal. Peeking from under his dark velvet coat was his burgundy canvas sash, 1 foot wide, wrapped around his waist. It was covered with pockets, each one not much larger than a man's thumb. Tucked into each pocket was a glass vial stopped with a cork or wax. There were other pouches, too, with all kinds of useful things. Flint tinder, tweezers, a long-handled silver spoon. The master had designed the sash himself to carry ingredients and remedies, at least the ones I didn't have to lug around behind him when we went out on a house call. Master Benedict stared at the brass cannon, which had rolled away and come to a stop at his feet, still trailing a wisp of smoke. His eyes narrowed as they tracked from the pipe to the two of us, still on the floor. Let's get inside, Benedict, a voice boomed from behind him. It's cold out here. A burly man shouldered past my master and shook the dust from his fur-trimmed cloak. Wow. This was Hugh Cogshell, who 15 years ago had graduated from his own apprenticeship with Master Benedict. Now a master himself, Hugh opened a private workshop in a bordering parish. Love this man. His nose crinkled. Smells like... He broke off when he spotted me and Tom. He covered his mouth, glancing sidelong at my master. Moving as gingerly as I could, I pushed myself off the floor to stand in front of him. Tom stood beside me as rigid as a statue. Deep dark vein pulsed in Master Benedict's forehead. When he spoke, his voice was like ice. Christopher. I swallowed hard. Yes, Master? Did I miss a war while I was out? No, Master. An argument, then? A discussion of court politics? His words dripped with sarcasm. Have the Puritans once again seized Parliament and overthrown our returned king? My face was burning. No, Master. Then perhaps... He said through grinding teeth, you could explain why in God's holy name you shot my bear. I didn't mean to, I said. Tom beside me nodded vigorously. It was an accident. This seemed to make him even angrier. You were aiming for the beaver and missed. I didn't trust myself to speak. I pointed at the cauldron. It still tipped on its side on the display table near the fire. For a moment, Master Benedict was silent. Then he said, You fired lead slugs at an iron cauldron from 6 feet away. I glanced at Tom. Yes? Where the fuck? There we go. My master closed his eyes and held his hand to his forehead. Then he leaned in close. Thomas, he said. Tom trembled. I thought he might faint. Yes, sir? Go home. Yes, sir. Tom sidled away, bowing awkwardly over and over again. He grabbed his shirt from the display table. He was still shirtless. Sorry. He grabbed his, the door slamming behind him. Master, I began. Be silent, he snapped. I was. This would normally be when the apprentice, in this case me, would receive a solid, heartfelt beating. But in the 3 years I'd lived with Master Benedict, he'd never struck me, not once. This was so unusual that I passed a whole year under his care before I realized he really was never going to hit me. Tom, who felt the sting of his father's hand every day, thought this was unfair. Felt it was more than fair, considering I'd spent my first 11 years in the Cripplegate orphanage where the masters doled out beatings like sweeties at an egg hunt. Sometimes, though, I kind of wished Master Benedict would hit me. Instead, he had this way of looking at me when I'd done something wrong. His disappointment burrowed into me, sinking to my heart and staying there. Like now. Put my trust in you, Christopher. Every day, our shop, our home, this is how you treat it. This is how you treat it, the way I said that. Bowed my head. I wasn't trying to. A cannon. You could have burned your eyes out. The pipe could have exploded and if you'd actually hit the cauldron, and the Lord must love a fool because I can't see how you missed the thing, I'd be scraping pieces of you off the walls from now until Christmas. Have you no sense at all? I'm sorry, I mumbled, and you shot my bloody bear. Hugh snorted. Sorry, that's fucking hysterical. Don't you encourage him, Master Benedict said. You've already given me a lifetime of grief. Hugh raised his hands in appeasement. Master Benedict turned back to me. Where did you even get the gunpowder? He said. I made it, I said. You made it. He finally seemed to notice the jars on the table. Then he saw the parchment with the code Tom and I had left beside them. My master peered at it, turned it over. I couldn't read his expression. You deciphered this, he said. I nodded. Hugh took the page from my master's hands and examined it. He glanced up at Master Benedict. Something seemed to pass between them, but I couldn't tell what they were thinking. I felt a sudden swell of hope. My master was always pleased when I surprised him with something new. Maybe he'd appreciate that I solved this puzzle on my own. Or maybe not. Master Benedict jabbed a bony finger into my ribs. Since you're feeling so creative, I'd like you to write out your recipe for today's little adventure 30 times, then write it another 30 times in Latin. But first, you will tidy this room. You'll put everything where it belongs, and then you will scrub the floor, the store, the workshop, and every step in this house, tonight, all the way up to the roof. The roof? Now I really wanted to cry. I knew I hadn't exactly been on the side of the angels this evening, but apprentices were already worked to exhaustion. Master Benedict may have been kinder than any master I knew, but my duties didn't change. My days started before the cry of 6. I had to wake first and get the shop ready, help customers, assist my master in the workshop, practice on my own, study, and so on until well after the sun had fallen. Then I had to put everything away, prepare the day's last meal, and clean the shop for tomorrow before I finally got to sleep on my pallias, the straw mattress that served as my bed. The only rest I got came on Sundays and the rare holidays, and we were right in the middle of a once-in-a-decade double holiday. Today, Ascension Day, and tomorrow. Oak Apple Day, that's what it's called. I've been dreaming of this break all year. According to the papers of apprenticeship, Master Benedict wasn't allowed to make me work on a holiday. Then again, according to the papers of apprenticeship, I wasn't allowed to steal his goods, make gunpowder, or shoot stuffed bears. Any bears, really. So I just slumped my shoulders and said, yes, master. Where's chapter 3? I want to figure out. Am I gonna? Where? Hello? Okay, sorry. I returned the pots and ingredients to the shelves. My master took our cannon and hid it somewhere in the workshop in the back, and then spent the next several minutes gathering soot-stained lead pellets which had rolled to every corner of the store. That left me wondering what to do about the poor bear. Wow! Master Benedict had hung up his apothecary sash with the vials of ingredients and remedies behind the counter before he disappeared into the back. I looked from the sash to the bear in the corner. If we stitched some pockets into a blanket and wrapped it around the beast's hips. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Hugh was slouched in the chair beside the fire, flipping through pages of my master's new herbal. He hadn't even looked up to speak. I was going to use that sash, but I can't just leave him like this. What if we gave him some breeches? Hugh shook his head. You're an odd sort of boy. Before I could respond, the front door creaked open. I smelled the man before I saw him, a nose-curling stink of rose-water perfume and body odor. Ew! That is disgusting. It was Nathaniel Stubb, an apothecary who owned a shop 2 streets over. Yes. Sorry, I need a chapstick. I know there's one over here. There it is. Sorry. My God. Okay. Moving on. Stubb waddled into foul our air once a week. He came to spy on his closest competition, if competition was the right word. We sold actual remedies. He made his money selling Stubb's Oriental cure-all pills. which according to the handbills he slapped on every street corner, fixed every ailment from pox to plague. As far as I could tell, the only real effect Stubbs' pills had was to reduce weight in the coin purse. Still, his customers bought them by the handful. Stubb wore his profit for all to see, heavy jeweled rings squeezing his fat fingers, a silver snake-head walking cane in his hand, a brocade doublet stained over his shiny silk shirt. Strained, oh. The bottom of the shirt was puffed ridiculously through his open flies, supposedly the new fashion. I thought it made him look like he'd stuffed his drawers with meringue. Stubb waved his cane curtly at Hugh. Cockshell. Hugh nodded back. Where is he? Stubb said. Hugh answered before I could. Benedict's busy. Stubb straightened his doublet and eyed our shop. His gaze lingered as usual on the shelves behind the counter, where we kept our most valuable ingredients, like diamond dust and powdered gold. Finally, he seemed to notice me standing beside him. Stubb was just standing there. Are you the apprentice? It being a holiday, I wasn't wearing the blue apron that every apprentice was required to wear. I could see how that had confused him, since I'd only lived here for 3 years. I nodded. Yes, Master Stubb. Then go get him, Master Stubb said. Stubb's command put me in a bind. Officially, I was only required to follow my master's orders. On the other hand, showing anything but the utmost respect to another master could get you in big trouble with the Apothecaries' Guild, and Stubb wasn't the kind of man you wanted to cross. Still, something in Hugh's manner made me think it would be better if Stubb didn't speak to Master Benedict tonight, so I made a second mistake that evening. I hesitated. Stubb hit me. He thwacked me on the side of my head with the end of his cane. I felt a sharp spike of pain as a silver fangs bit into the top of my earlobe. I fell against the curio cabinet and clasped my hand to my ear, crying out in surprise as much as hurt. Stubb brushed his cane on the sleeve of his doublet as if touching me had fouled it. Go get him, I said. Hugh's expression darkened. I told you Benedict is busy, and the boy isn't yours, so keep your hands to yourself. Stubb just looked bored. The boy isn't yours either, Cogshell, so keep your words to yourself. Master Benedict appeared in the doorway behind the counter, wiping his hands on a rag. He took in the scene, frowning. What do you want, Nathaniel? He said, Did you hear? There's been another murder. He smiled, but perhaps you already knew that. Alright, I'm gonna stop there. How many pages was that? That was only not even 30 pages. But that was the end of chapter 2. I will probably read chapter 3 and 4 sometime soon. I will be posting this probably right after I make it. I don't know if I'm gonna try and edit it. We'll see. But I hope you guys liked this. I doubt it's gonna get much attention no matter what I do, so I will probably try and keep uploading them otherwise. But for anyone that does watch this, I hope you guys really enjoyed. I really love these books, and I hope people do enjoy these readings. And I hope you guys have a lovely day. I hope you guys get your work done, get everything done. Do what you need to do. Go take care of yourselves. Go enjoy the weather if it's warm where you are. Yeah. I hope you guys have a great day, great evening, great morning, whatever. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Mwah.